is the president's patience when it comes to negotiating some of these bipartisan agreements he wants to see, not just with infrastructure today, but for example, whether it's police reform or the jobs plan. At some point, does he say to his fellow Democrats, we just have to go at it alone? And then does that mean we're going to see more executive orders as a result?
Well, first, I would say that the president has a bit of experience legislating, and his approach is to look for ways we can find common ground. That's exactly what he's going to do when he meets with Senator Capito this afternoon. Negotiations mean both sides continue to make moves toward each other. Both sides continue to look for areas where they agree, and that's what he's prepared to do, and he's hopeful this meeting is an opportunity to do. At the same time, we're working on a number of different paths. There's discussions between bipartisan members in the Senate about how they might come to agreement on a path forward on a historic investment in infrastructure, on a version of the American Jobs Plan. He's eager to see what they have to offer. We also know next week, Congressman DeFazio is going to be marking up the American Jobs Plan in the House, something a lot of members and Democrats in the House are quite excited about. So I would say that we're working on many channels. He's going to have discussions with all of these entities and parties, and he knows that sometimes in this journey, in this path, you have to keep a range of options on the table.
And his level of patience?
I would say he wouldn't have been in the Senate for 36 years if he wasn't quite patient. So, but you know, patience is not unending, and he wants to make progress. His only line in the sand is inaction. He wants to sign a bill into law this summer. But I would also remind you that the American Rescue Plan passed in a very quick timeline for how legislation moves forward, very fast. And there's historic legislation, the Affordable Care Act, for example, the president worked closely on. That took a year. We're not advising that's the timeline, but just to suggest that sometimes these efforts can take a little bit of time. He's working to move things forward, and there are certainly items on, the clock is certainly ticking because there are items like the markup next week that will drive discussion by members of Congress. Go ahead.
So the president